Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Zinister Motorsports. It's me, Zinister J, and today I'm just going to go over with you guys basically the history of my 91 Nissan 300ZX, naturally aspirated. And the only point of this video is just to inform everybody of what has been done to the car, what I plan to do to the car, and what's to come. Other than that, she's in the garage for today. Yesterday I took her out, but I didn't get any footage, sadly. I really need to get onto that. I really need to buy my GoPro so I can get better footage, better quality, and take you guys up with me everywhere. But other than that, I'm just gonna tell you guys everything since I've had it, what I've done to it, what went wrong, the issues I've had so far, and basically an overall review. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you guys is about the VG30DE motor. Now, as far as the motor, it is really reliable. As far as naturally aspirated goes, this thing runs like a champ. And other than that, you just got to maintain it, just like any other motor. Obviously, every motor has its own, like its own good and bad things. So I'm not gonna say it's like the perfect motor, but it gets you places, and it's really good. It's really simple. So far, the only thing that's been done to the motor is that as a cold air intake, so far I got it with the car when I want to go buy it. It was like I believe it was like a Tuesday or something, and I ended up finding the car on OfferUp. I saw someone was selling it for about $3,000, or well, it was $4,000. That's what the OfferUp price said. But I basically let the guy know, like, hey, I'm interested. I was saving up for a while, and yeah, I want to go talk to the guy. He told me everything was wrong with it. The guy was basically pretty cool. He actually owned like a bunch of Z's on his driveway. He had like 3 of them. He had a twin turbo, and he had some other ones. He talked to me about them, which is pretty cool. But he told me everything. So far, what the guy told me, he says he likes to race cars, so he was basically building this car for his son, but his son crashed another car, so he decided to sell it, which is no surprise. I would do the same thing too. But so the things that I did not put in that came with the car, I'll let you guys know right now, was the cold air intakes. These things came with the car. This grill came with the car like that. As you can see, like the frame and everything is still OEM. Here's the placard for it. Basically says everything about it. VG30DE motor. Now these ones do come with twin turbos. The twin turbo motors are by far the most funnest cars you can ever work with, but they are a hassle, and there's a lot more to fix. So going turbo, it's a lot more fun, but it's a lot more work to do, and less fun. Obviously, since it is a turbo, you're able to go faster than normal. But this car, since it's not turbo, it's naturally aspirated, it's really slow. Going in a straight line, I'm telling you guys, I'm really slow. Mainly not due to the fact I'm still running OEM parts, but it's just, think about it. It's a 5-speed, 30 plus year old car. So compared to all these 6-7 speed automatics that are out here in the freeway, like, dude, I'm pretty slow. Like, a lot of people look at me, they look at this car, and it's like, damn, bro, like, they all want to race me. I always get a guy wanting to race me everywhere I go. But it's like, I will race him, but it's like, dude, I know I'm not fast enough. It's NA, It's not like compared to like the 350Zs that come NA, like they make like 300 horsepower straight out of the factory. These ones straight out of the factory, I believe, made like 220. And after 30 years or something, it's got the same speed as the Scion TC of 178 horsepower. So, but overall, it's really reliable, I'll tell you that. It does have its issues so far. Like, whoever had it before me, they did not properly seal the timing cover. As you can see, it has leaks. There's leaks coming from the side of it. I want to say After careful observation, I want to say it's coming from the front main seal. That's where it's all the leak is coming from. And I do slightly get leaks at the bottom, but it's not too bad, you know. It's very like subtle. It's very subtle. But it's very doable. I always check the oil. I'm always checking to see, you know, this stuff to make sure she's running perfectly fine. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's been added so far. The things that I've added were, the first thing I ever did to this car was add these lights, because when I got it, it was a pirate. She basically only had one eye that was working with lights, so I got these high density HIDs, basically high density discharge lights. I believe these ones were 6,000. Tells you right there. But yeah, I got them for both of them, from both sides. So far when I got it, only this side light was working and this side was not working. But what's funny is that you see that these high beam lights right here, these ones, this side works but this side doesn't, so it was kind of like swapped. So this side had the working light, but it didn't have the working thing, and this side had no working light, but the high def light was working. And besides that, what else did I put on? Oh, I put this fuel filter in. The old one was really old, so I put this one in. This hose is brand new. There's an issue going on with my fuel line, but I'll get into it right now after I tell you guys everything that's been put in. This right here is this clutch cylinder, the master cylinder. Clutch master cylinder is brand new. It's OEM, straight from Z1. This is the second thing I did to this car, was basically put a clutch in it. A brand new clutch, from the flywheel to the discs, all the way to the rear main seal. I had some help putting that one in because I don't have, sadly, I just have a jack. I don't have jack stands, and I didn't have anything else to lift it, so I had some help. I went to go take it to the buddy of mine from work, and he obviously had like a whole shop in his garage, so he has a lift and everything, so he helped me, and that was pretty good. That was pretty helpful. We put in basically a brand new clutch, brand new lightweight solid hub, performance clutch, perfectly good for this car. It takes a beating, so I'll tell you guys that. So basically that's new. What else is new? The next new thing would probably be the fan clutch. So the old fan clutch, I actually still have the old one. It's in my box at my old job. The old one was just very bad. It was very like, dude, it was rough. So see how this one, like, I'm able to like spin it. Like, it stopped itself, but you know, it's still able to spin it. The other one was really rough. Like, you cannot move it. You fucking spun in and it wouldn't like spin properly, and it was just really bad. It was starting to go out, so I ended up replacing that one. I also replaced the belts. The belts were pretty chewed up when I got them. I'm pretty surprised it took me long, like it took me months before I swapped out those chewed out belts, man. And it was oh my god. I should have done it the first time I ever got the car, but you know, that's what happens, man. Money, man, money is a big issue in this hobby. But besides the belts, I got all that stuff done. You know, I put new power steering fluid in the reservoir. I tried doing that. I put new brake fluid .3 to there. Obviously the brake fluid I also use for the clutch fluid as well. So these basically have brand new everything, brand new fluid. And so far that's pretty much everything that I put on it engine wise, you know. So I checked everything when I first got it. I checked the spark plugs. Spark plugs are good. I checked the oil. Oil was good. I'm still doing the oil changes, but since I rarely take the car out, so I do oil changes when I feel like, all right, I've been driving it for quite a while, so now I believe it's time for an oil change. And recently it's still good. You know, the oil's still good. I checked it the other day. It's still fine. It's still light. It's not dark. It doesn't look burnt. But I am somewhat losing drops of oil at the bottom, so You know, you always got to be cautious on that stuff. Just keep that in mind. You know, some things leak. It's part of the game. Things will leak. You just got to fix it before, you know, it becomes a bigger issue. Um, but there are also a lot of things I have to fix on this car. So for example, one of the first things I got to do is get a hold down bracket for this battery, because this thing just moves everywhere. It slides everywhere. So that is one of the things that's on my list to do. Now, this car did come with subs, I believe, because these wires, I believe, are not OEM, and they look like they connect to a sub and all this stuff. But I just keep them on the side, you know. I disconnected the ground that one of them had. So what I had an issue was, I saw smoke one day, and I just saw, like, dude, the car's not even on, and I didn't turn it on. So what could be smoking? Well, came to a conclusion that there was a ground connector that was connected to this, I believe, this stereo line for the amps. It was connected to this ground right here. So it was consistently getting power, and at the bottom of my frame, that's where like the exposed wires were, because it was hanging down. And I don't know how it got exposed wires. I don't know what the previous guy did or anything, but they were touching the bottom, and that was causing it to basically smoke. It was basically to crackle. It was making contact with the metal, so it was basically melting that piece and pulling out a lot of smoke coming out. But besides that, there's still a lot more. As you can see, that line just runs all the way over for the amp, all the way goes all the way. It runs all from behind the seat and all the way to the rear. So whoever had this car, they had subs in it. I don't plan on carrying subs because well, I do love listening to music. I'll tell you that. Like, you know, listening to music and driving is probably one of the best therapy sessions you could ever have. Especially like if you're driving around in not a race car, but, you know, a project car. So I do want to take that out. I do want to take that cable out and basically just remove it, because the radio works fine. I'm not saying it's the best radio, but it works. I get to listen to music. It's not loud, but it gets the job done, you know. I'm content with it. It's not like I need a big amp in the back of it. It's just going to add more weight. So the issue, going back to the fuel. So I have this issue. I went running one day over in the mountains, and as you can see in the previous video, that's when I basically almost I kind of fishtailed. I hit a corner too hard. I went in too hard. It was a kind of like a U-ey, not a U-ey, but kind of like a C corner, and it was a really small one. So I was coming downhill. I turned left, I brake, and it fishtails me to the right. So I kind of have to counter that, and that's what I did. I ended up countering the whole steering and just solidifying the base of the car, so make sure it's touching all four sides and make sure it's straight. That way, other than that, I would have crashed if it wasn't for that. But yeah, back to that. I basically just, after I hit that corner, you know, made that whole, like, you know, threatening life decision, I basically smacked the hell out of this metal line right here. This basically metal line is part of my fuel line. So it runs all the way from this line all the way into the fuel filter. And I still have the other metal part there. It's still there, you know, just not connected all the way in. It just runs all the way to the, I believe, it runs all the way to the damper. I believe that's the damper. If I'm not wrong, it's this one right here. It's one of those two, but I'm thinking about a lot of things right now, so I'm just trying to see as much as I go. That piece, I do have to take it out, and I do want to put another one due to the fact because I can't simply run this line forever. You know, heat happens, stuff can happen, this can rip, this can blow up, so I do need to replace it. I do need to get something more, you know, more sturdier, less likely to blow up on me. I do thank Garrett though for helping me out with this, because if it wasn't for him, I would have just not fixed this issue at all. I would have just left it like that, because all I know is OEM, dude. OEM is all I know. So if I break this metal piece, I just assumed that I need the same piece. I didn't know like you could just run you know, a high pressure hose all the way to the other one. It's not recommended, but it works for the time being. And besides that, it still runs perfectly well. No leaks or anything, at least for the time being. The next thing I probably did was probably fix the knuckle on the right side, or no, the left side knuckle. Yeah, I was driving in like a plaza. Luckily, I wasn't on the freeway or anything, but it was like on a little plaza. I was about to park. I was gonna go to this little spot, La Michoacana, and as I turned the corner, my wheel just pops out. It just pops out of nowhere, and just like, what the hell? So I got two wheels facing in, and it was just a shit show. It was just really bad. And well, I had a buddy of mine come help me. Basically, took off the tire, we lifted it. We saw the freaking nut behind the rotor. Is like a little knuckle that connects to the lower control arm. That basically well, there's like a little pin. It's like a pin that goes straight through the hole and it locks in place. Well, that pin it fell off. I don't know what happened. It fell off, it flew off, it broke off. I don't know what happened, but once we were able, it did some damage to the knuckle, but it wasn't too bad. All we ended up doing was just sitting it back on and just putting a brand new pin in through the hole and just sitting it. So now it's perfectly fine. It's still good. You know, other than that, I had no issues so far with the car. Besides all those little things I still trying to fix. But there's always room to fix better. There's always room for more. And obviously the radiator, this is the whole car. So now I'm gonna show you guys the inside. I had to give you guys a brief history on what the motor is, basically, and everything, what I've had done to it, how I got it, what I fixed on it. But oh yeah, and also one more thing, these rims and tires, I actually mounted them myself. I bought these rims. I have the old rims are right here actually. I have two of them. I have this one, the XXRs, 225s, was it 4018s? Yeah, I have these ones. I had 4 of them. The car came with 4 of them, basically. So instead of these rims and tires, I had those 4 on it. And one day I was just driving on the freeway and boom, this thing just blows up. But I ended up finding out later that the rim actually had a crack in it. So because of the cracked rim, the bead basically just blew up and destroyed the whole tire. And not only that, I saw the other front one had it too. So I basically just said, man, screw this. I spent time. Luckily, you know, we were smart with our financial decisions, and I had money saved up to be able to buy rims that weekend. And I was also able to buy tires that same weekend too. So the first thing I did was I bought the rims. Obviously, I wanted to make sure I bought, you know, good ones that were gonna fit, and, you know, wasn't gonna have a hassle with like no rubbing or anything. These wheels, all of them, all around, are also on spacers. So these spacers also came with the car. I wish I could tell you the exact measurements, but not even the guy that had them before can tell you like what measurements they are, because he didn't even know either. But I want to say they look like 30 millimeters. They're pretty wide. I want to say they're 30. When I've looked at the websites, I've seen like 25, 20, 30 millimeters. And when I look at the thickness, you know, just it seems close to 30. I've never measured it, but I am looking for other basically spacers. I kind of don't want to put spacers because I do want full contact between my steering components and my wheel. I mean, it just depends on the spacers you get, I guess. You know, this one can or cannot have an effect. You know, I'm not saying adding aftermarket parts does make a difference, because in some occasions it does, and some occasions it doesn't. But in this occasion so far, you know, everything seems to be working fine. You know, it does kind of rub a little bit, but you know, this bumper's all good. I got a zip tie on the bumper. The other side's cracking. You know, I do want to get a KBD bumper. So this one's obviously what's it called, that fiberglass. So it's just not, you know, it's just what it is. It's holding on for now, but I do want to get a KBD. But it's keeping the job well done. Anyways, back to the rims. Yeah, I mounted all these rims. I mounted the tires. I balanced them myself at my old job. They're pretty cool. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty fun to do. The issue was these little thingies, these little bad boys, the valve stems. The valve stems were a real issue to find, because the different hole sizes that they had, as well as the different, you know, different types of valve stems they had as well. You just had to find one that fits that hole and that sits properly. And I ended up going to like AutoZone like freaking 3 times, roughly, like a bunch of times. And yeah, that was a good learning experience. I learned how to do that. Obviously after I finished that, I had took the car to get it aligned, and she was pretty much driving awesome. The grip on these wheels, on these tires at least, are pretty freaking good. I gave them a solid 10 out of 10. The wheels that I got are the Falcon tires. These are the Falcon's Zenith, the PK 510s. Let me see if I can find it. Actual number. The PK 510 Zenith. These are actually, it says right there, 510s. These are actually summer tires. So I bought these for the purpose of knowing, in that moment when I bought them, it was starting to become the summer. It was roughly almost like a month before summer was gonna start. So I just said, man, might as well be safe than sorry and get summer tires. I know it can get really hot, and these things are pretty much good for it. As well as the tread and the grip, these things are awesome, bro. I give them a solid 10 out of 10 for grip. Because these things do grab when I'm hitting a corner, man. They grab so freaking good when I hit a corner. So Falcons are good. I do want to get better tires, but that'll be for the future build. Alright, so other than that, I'm filming on my phone, you know. Snap-on, not sponsored by Snap-on, but I do, most of my tools are bought from Snap-on. I do love Snap-on. You know, shout out to Kevin and Hank for helping me out and getting me situated on my tools that I need to get my job done. So here's the interior. So I got this energy steering wheel also came with the car. These seats also came with the car too. You know, it's pretty cool. You know, they're OEM. They're the OEM seats, but they just different stitching and all that stuff. You know, it's kind of ripped. Not too bad, but that side is perfectly good. But yeah, other than that is the seat. It's the 2-seater, not the 4-seater. So get the light in there so you can see. 2-seater. I got my other tire in there, right there in the back, along with my stuff. Go ahead and get in it. Oh. So this is how the cockpit view. So this is cockpit view. This is what I see when I'm in here. So this steering wheel did come with the car. You know, energy steering wheels. It is my first steering wheel that I ever, you know, experienced with. I'm not much of a fan of this, you know, extra wiggle room, but I had no issues so far. When I'm driving it, you know, feels nice, feels firm. But as far as this wiggle thing, you know, just not much of a fan. So eventually I'm gonna swap it out to something more sturdy. These types of steering wheels, they can kill you, man. So I don't recommend, I mean, unless you're going for like a show car or something, I really do not recommend getting like this kind of steering wheel. The one where it's like, you know, sounds like wood. I'd rather get the matte, you know, the fuzzy matte ones with better grip at least. Because these ones, you know, they make your hands sweat. They make your hands sweat hella bad. And it's just after a good amount of driving, like it makes the whole steering wheel really crusty and like, you know, it just makes it really crusty and rough. So I'm not much of a fan of that, but it gets the job done and I like it. It's pretty cool. The dash, it is not OEM. That is also something that came with the car when I bought it. That picture is mine. That picture's mine. But other than that, this whole dash is whole OEM aftermarket. It's not OEM. This does not work. I'll tell you that right now. This does not work. What's funny is that there's a lot of Z32s out there with the same problem with their speedometer isn't working. I know for these old cars, the speed sensor just sits within the transmission. It's not on the wheels how it is nowadays, so the sensor just stays with the transmission. I don't know what's going on. It works when it wants to and it doesn't, so I guess it's just an electrical issue I have to go deep into eventually. And still has everything, has the sides. So this thing actually falls off. It's not actually like perfectly sitting, so I had to put red tape around it to make it sit properly. But I don't even use this, to be honest. This is for AC, climate control. This is for the fan, this is for the wiper blades. I do use the wiper blades, so this is probably one thing I do use. But as far as like AC and stuff, the car doesn't have AC. The car doesn't come with AC. So what do? We just put the windows down or take off the T-top and we get air. So it's not too bad. Unless you really care for AC, then, you know, obviously it's an issue, but race car, so no AC. I can handle it. As far as the midsection, you know, this whole like cover and everything wasn't there when I got it. This whole mid spot wasn't here. You know, I had to basically, the guy gave me like the parts for it, so all I did was just put them together to make it look less, you know, less gutted out. As you can see, it's missing the glove box or the glove compartment right here on this side. The guy ended up taking out the airbag on this side to make it more lighter, you know, give more lightness to the car. So the guy talked to me, told me all the things he did. So I was like, he didn't tell me everything. Whereas why I found issues after I bought the car, there was issues, but he didn't tell me everything. But he did tell me like what was visual, like this is missing, you know, took it out because of this reason, because, you know, for lightness. And it's all basically just, you know, fall for race car type things. So the dash looks pretty good, you know. It's for 30-year-old car, it's still pretty much good condition. I've seen worse than this. This is the left side. This is where I turn on my lights. That's where I have my dash lights. Right here is basically the fog lights. So I turn on the bottom lights. And this is a turn signal. This is I don't know. I never used this, so I never touched it. Then there's that. There's my rearview mirror that slightly is broken and doesn't want to stay up. Look at that. Now it does, but when I'm driving, it slowly like falls down. I got this as a gift from someone from work. It's my light, just a red light, along with this red light too. You know, the car just bleeds red. That's all it is. It's all red. There's my snap-on tools. I never leave anywhere without my snap-on tools. Like, this is a must for anyone that has a project. Like, everyone should know, like, it's a must. You got to carry your tools because at any moment in time, anything can happen. I got my impact, my half-inch impact. Basically, it's used to take off my tires. And yeah, it's basically all my work stuff is in here. So anything that's needed for a moment in time where, just say I get a flat tire, I have my tire that's back there that's extra to just put it on and just have it as extra. So it's just things to be prepared in, you know. Then the little things I have right here is my glasses. I have my Try-Hard glasses, which is basically the 2000s type glasses, the ones all the Camaro IROC dudes used to rock, you know, the ones were like chameleon the chameleon colored visors. And I also have my Ray-Bans. So these are just for casual driving, you know, just to chill and hang out.